Hi everyone. I'm going to walk you through the two new capabilities which we have added in Join Oil and Gas Allocations product. One of them is the ability to allocate volumes from different monthly volume sources in comparison to the daily volume sources for any disposition. For the sake of simplicity, we are going to walk you through the process, this specific process for a gas sales disposition allocation. So the two important aspects of being able to allocate a custom monthly allocation run is first to do with the ability to fetch volumes from a different monthly reading on a volume source. The second thing would be the ability to point to a different volume source for the monthly allocation versus a daily allocation. I'll show you on the product how we have set it up and what we want to demonstrate. What you see here is a gas allocation network where the fundamental idea behind the network is to allocate volumes from check meters for daily allocations and from the sales meter for the monthly allocation run for the sales disposition. The flare meter is going to have the daily readings on that, and the daily readings by themselves are going to be used to allocate both the monthly as well as daily gas flare allocation. The other thing which we built here was within the context of the allocation config, we have built the capability to be able to have an independent custom monthly allocation config where the production accountant can configure different readings on different volume sources to be the volume source for a monthly allocation in comparison to the volume sources for daily allocation. What we are showing you here is the gas sales disposition, where we have disposition point-based allocation enabled for this disposition, where the allocation engine, when it generates the daily allocated volumes, also generates how much of that volume allocated back to the well came from each of the disposition point. What you notice here is the configuration for the ratios, where the allocation meters, which are the wellhead meters, act as the ratio sources. So which readings on those meters are actually going to be the source of values to be used as ratios. What we see here is the daily gas meter reading, or the gas meter pressure BTU reading, has a attribute called volume in standard conditions, which is being used for the volume allocations. Similarly, for the gas check meters, which are of the type digital gas, we have the same type of reading called the gas meter pressure BTU, whose volume in standard conditions is the reading attribute for the volume source. A standard allocation config would essentially have sum of dailies for every disposition. That is, every disposition's monthly allocated volume value at a well is nothing but the sum of daily allocated volumes across the allocation month for all those dispositions at each of that well. What we have provided is the capability for the user to configure a custom monthly run, where you could say that my ratio sources could still be the same wellhead meters, and the source of ratio could be the same daily wellhead meter reading, which is the case here. And in the case of volume sources, although the check meters and the sales meter might be of the same object subtype, the reading on the sales meter is more of a gas monthly reading and not a standardized and not the daily reading which you see generally on the check meters or on the wellhead meters. So what you do here is first choose a custom monthly allocation process. If any of the dispositions which you have configured in the allocation config needs to follow a process different to the sum of dailies. And once you select that, you have the toggle enabled for every disposition, where for each disposition you can independently go and control whether you want to do a sum of daily allocation or a custom monthly allocation. So in this case, I've set up the gas sales allocation as a custom monthly allocation. I'm just discarding the changes just to ensure I do not break the setup. So the setup is the same. So now when I go and run a monthly allocation for the specific network for the month of March, and the product is gas. So the allocation run is triggered for the monthlies. Let me just refresh this. Yeah. The run was triggered off at 5:20. Yeah, it took around 10 to 11 seconds to finish this monthly allocation run. So what I would show here is, because the sales meter 1002 and 1004 are the sources of monthly volumes, I would actually go to the gas monthly allocation reading and show what is the reading value. So 28,113 MCF is the volume which needs to be allocated from gas sales meter 1002. And if you look for the same on 1004, it is 20,890. So let's actually go back to the gas meters network and let's look at the allocation results. So if I actually look at the allocation results and only check the let's look at the sales disposition, because that is the disposition which has the custom monthly process setup. So what you would notice here is the volume of 28,113 is picked up from the sales meter, and 20,890 is picked up from sales meter 1004, and that is what is allocated back to the wells. So if I've actually some of the allocations, that would be so that sums up to 49,003, which is the total volume which was allocated back from gas sales meter 1002 and 1004. So that's how the custom monthly allocation process can be set up for any specific disposition. And if you go back to the network, if the user was running a daily allocation, let's pick up the daily allocation for, let's say, the 2nd of March for gas sales. You would notice that the gas sales, that same disposition is actually taking volumes from the check meters and allocating them back to the wells, whereas volumes from the sales meters are not picked for any of the daily allocations. So this is how a user can configure a custom monthly allocation run for any disposition. Right now, we have enabled it for non-inventory based dispositions, because doing this for an inventory based disposition with ledger routes is not standard. Thank you.